Welcome back to another edition of Hearing Voices. I have a writer today who is into publishing. This is a topic that we have not touched on yet. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Well, what a nice surprise. My name is Tyler Sharp. I'm a Dallas native, and I founded and own a company called Modern Huntsman. And we're a media company and an experiential lifestyle brand focused around bridging communication gaps between people who hunt and people who don't. So we host outdoor experiences, fishing, foraging, hunting, wild food sourcing, butchery, all of that, and we publish a 200-page publication twice a year, in addition to doing creative work for lots of outdoor brands. We published a cookbook last year with Penguin Random House, and that's pretty much why I have a bookshelf I'm going to get today.
Right on. So, have you always been a hunter?
No, actually, I grew up. I was not. I mean, growing up in Texas, you're around it. There's always someone, your uncle or your aunt or your cousin or whatever. But I never had a personal connection to it. And then I went to film school in Los Angeles. When I graduated from LA film school, I went straight to Tanzania. I moved to Africa and got thrown into that world and had no idea how it worked or what it was about. And in 4 years, I went to 40 countries all over the world, filming, hunting, and outdoor expeditions and fishing. And through that experience, learned about hunting playing a major role in global conservation. And when I say that, I mean from a sustainability standpoint.
Sure.
They're doing animal censuses. They're taking a less than 1% of a population take.
Right.
Most of that money goes back into support, habitat protection, anti-poaching, things like that. And I found that most of the hunting organizations were not doing a great job of communicating that to the larger public.
Right.
And that's what we're focused on.
Okay.
So in addition to that, an educational component, there's an inspirational component. So I was in these countries, not knowing the language, but we knew the common language of our ancestral heritage of hunting. For millennia, right? As humans, that's what we did. And so there's this incredibly rich tapestry of cultures, traditions, clothing, mysticism in some cases, where there's animal sort of anthropology and that sort of thing. So I got super interested in that, and there was not an outlet for it.
Yeah.
So that's why we created it, is to show the more inspirational side, to try to get people interested in being outdoors, not necessarily having to have a gun or a bow in your hand, but we host these experiences, and a lot of people come just to see and understand how it works, and then decide for themselves.
So do you try to get crossovers? Do you go to gun shows?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think that just like many things in this world, right, a lot of industries have become over politicized, and we're not involved in any politics whatsoever. We're more about what's best for wildlife and wild things and wild places, and kind of the fine art from the field, as I would say, right? What, back in the day, I feel like in the 40s and 50s, there was this really beautiful heritage in the U.S. where people were like hunters and poets, right? And a lot of the hunting magazines had some of the best writers and photographers, and it wasn't the case like that for a while. So we're trying to bring some of that back.
So you think Teddy Roosevelt was the progenitor of a lot of this?
I would say so, yeah. That, and then also Hemingway obviously helped with some of the romanticism of that life of adventure, who ironically we are working with the Ernest Hemingway estate on our current issue that just came out a few weeks ago, about that, right? Trying to communicate just why hunting and fishing and conservation has a place in the modern world.
Right, absolutely.
Because I feel like a lot of it is misunderstood, whether it's through sensationalized news media or social media rants, or someone's having an emotional reaction rather than a fact-based reaction.
Right. You're killing Bambi.
Right.
Okay.
Which actually, long history to that Disney movie, but the short version is that's poaching, because you often can't shoot does out of season, and Bambi's mom was a female, so
Yes.
but they don't talk about that. So of course the general public just saw as like, oh, this hunter's the horrible bad guy who did this thing. Well, that's actually a poacher, and yes, poachers are bad guys. So anyways, that's the kind of nuance that we try to focus on, but also, you know, we do stories around ranchers and, you know, sustainable farming and rotational grazing and fishing practices and like what all of us as individuals can do to reduce our individual impacts on the ecosystem around us.
Right.
But in a friendly, ideally inspirational way, not this like guilt-ridden slap on the wrist kind of way.
Are you involved with this? Is it Sierra Club?
Not immediately myself. You know, they're traditionally have been very separate from the hunting industry, and that's often the case with a lot of groups. There's not a lot of cross-aisle collaboration.
Right.
We're trying to foster that, because at the end of the day, the larger goal is more important than whether or not you're, you know, a hiker or a hunter. And a lot of people get caught up in that, and we're trying to create this middle ground where people can do both.
All right. Well, one more time.
Sure.
Give the listeners the name of your organization.
Sure.
And where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, my name's Tyler Sharp. My Instagram's Tyler Sharp Photo, and then Modern Huntsman is the name of the company. Same on Instagram, Modern Huntsman, and it's modernhuntsman.com. And yeah, we publish. My office is here in Oak Cliff, right there on Kings Highway, and but we have a team all over the world, and some of the top writers and photographers, a lot of who formerly were at National Geographic, are now contributing to ours. So thanks for the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, thank you so much for agreeing to come on Hearing Voices.